I would like to thank Mike and Debbie for helping me with this experiment. First of all, I'd like to show you that I've taken a magic marker to about a dozen of my playing cards, and I've drawn something upon it, sort of pieces of a puzzle, if you will. I'm not that great of an artist, but I did the best that I could. 12 pieces of a puzzle, which you two, as a couple, are going to try to figure out what the puzzle means. Now, you're probably well aware that couples either belong together or they find out sometimes that they're not meant to be together, and it usually depends upon their decision making whenever they go through life with each other. Who makes the decisions and how right or wrong the decisions are. I'm going to mix up the rest of the pack here just for a moment, because the first decision that you two are going to make together is, when I riffle down the pack, Mike, say stop anytime. Right there. Okay, now Debbie, is that good for you too? You have to actually agree upon this procedure. You have to make a decision together. Is that good for you, Debbie? No? Okay, Mike, do it again. Say stop. Right there. Debbie, is that fine for you? Okay. We'll divide the pack at that point, and we're going to leave them right there on the table so that later on we can take a look and see where we've ended up at. But right now, let's get back to the cards that I've drawn something upon. It's a bit of a puzzle, and I'd like to point out that as the cards get mixed around during this procedure, that anything could happen. You see, if you take two cards, and if you were to switch them with one another, now the 8 is in front of the 3, not only do the value of the cards change, but the pattern of the puzzle changes also, you see. Well, I'm going to give both of you the chance to change and mix up this puzzle as much as you want. For example, Mike, I'm going to deal the cards on the table, and whenever you say switch, that's when I'll stop and I'll switch the next two around. Then I'll continue to deal again. And if you say switch one more time, I'll switch these. And if you say switch one more time, I'll switch those. Anytime you say switch, I will switch the two cards, and that will mix them up a little bit more. So just let me deal. Say switch anytime you want. Right here. Okay, switch those two. These two again. Okay. And the last two, switch those. Okay. Now, Debbie, it's your turn to make the decisions now. Mike made his, whether they're right or wrong. But now, as a couple, it's your turn to make the decision. As I deal the cards, just switch. These two, okay. Just say switch whenever you want. These two, switch, okay. And again. And the last pair, no, just down, okay. Now, as a couple, both of you have switched the cards around and therefore the pieces of the puzzle around. I'm going to lay the cards out exactly in the order that they happen to be in after the both of you have switched them all around. Now is the time to see if you two actually belong together for the rest of your life by the decisions that you've just made. Are you ready for this? No sleight of hand. It was your decision. Watch the pieces of the puzzle fit together. A perfect match. A perfect match. A perfect match. Look at that. Two hearts linked together. A perfect match for Mike and Debbie. You're destined to be together forever and ever. But I knew this from the very beginning, because remember the decision you made as a couple together? Well, we ended up cutting the deck right here, and believe it or not, it couldn't be any better, because we've ended up with the King and the Queen of Hearts. Mike, Debbie, thank you very much for helping. May your hearts ever be linked forever and ever. Here's another version where after the cards have been switched around, you end up with a little bit different ending. Just like the other version, the deck had been previously cut where the spectator said stop. In this case, they switched as many times as they wanted to. But when you put the pieces of the puzzle together, you show this time that yes, they have a perfect match, but what could it possibly be? And when you get to the very top, they realize it's Mr. Stickman. Yes, with an ace of clubs in his hand. Look at that, the ace of clubs. And I wonder what the odds were of you putting Mr. Stickman all together were rather slim. But the odds of the Stickman actually showing what card you would cut to, the ace of clubs, well, that, my friends, is almost a miracle. Thank you for helping. You start off by temporarily taping all 12 red-faced cards together upon their back and then flipping them over from left to right. You then draw your 2 interlacing hearts, as you see here, the best you can. You remove the tape, turn everything upside down as you see here, and then you proceed to pick them up in this order, straight across from left to right. From the bottom of the hearts, slowly working your way up to the very top. After you're finished doing this, you simply revolve the entire packet 180 degrees, turn it all the way around, and at this point what I like to do is go about halfway down and reverse 2 of the cards. I'll take the 3 and the 8, put the 8 in back of the 3. They stay in the same position. You simply reverse 2 of the cards. I'll put the 3 in front of the 8, just like that. Later on, those 2 cards will be reversed back to their original position, making the setup complete once again. Also, with the rest of the pack, you'll need the Queen of Hearts and King of Hearts on top, so you can perform your cross-cut force or the flip-flop-plop force, which I'll be teaching you. Everything goes into the box. When you're ready, you take them out of the box, remove the bottom 12 cards, lay them on the table. If you want to, you can show that none of the other cards have any markings on them. It's up to you. And then you start by going into your shuffle. Remember, the Queen of Hearts and King of Hearts are on top, so don't dislodge those. You go into your force. This is the flip-flop-plop force, which I'll teach you at the end. Or you can perform a cross-cut force. You spread the packet on the table, showing all the pieces of the puzzle that you've drawn, and at this point you want to explain to them what exactly is going to be happening. You see the pieces are in a mixed up order already, but if you were to switch 2 more of the pieces around, say the 8 and the 3, that would switch the order of the cards and the order of the pieces also. See, at this point you just put the 3 and 8 back into their position. You then go on to continue to tell the first spectator that he can say switch anytime he wants, and as he does so, you'll switch 2 cards around and drop them on the table. After he understands this, you go through the cards one time with him. He says switch anytime he wants, and you do switch those cards and lay them down. You go to the second spectator. They say switch anytime they want, and you switch the cards around and lay them on the table, just as you see here. This is solely self-working and automatic if you follow this procedure. After you're done, you lay the cards out in the order they happen to fall. Little do they know that you know that the order is going to be exactly what you want it to be in the end. You then point out the odds, the statistical odds, how difficult it would be to have anything match, but as you turn them over, as you can see here, all the pieces perfectly match, and they'll slowly realize that you have interlacing hearts, meaning that their hearts are linked together forever and ever, and that they're a perfect couple after all. You then go back to the section that you cut and show that you knew they'd be a perfect couple because they actually cut to the King and Queen of Hearts way back at the very beginning, making them truly a perfect couple once and for all. Now here's a couple of tips that you might want to think about. This is the flip-flop-plop force that I call it. You riffle down, you stop, you divide the pack as you see here with your first and second finger, you flip them over. You then regrip the section in the left hand, flop them down on top, regrip everything as you see here, and you plop them on the table. Another thing to think about is perhaps if you'd like to, you can scrape the borders off of the cards and scrape the angel's hair off of her head to make the cards one-way directional cards for you, and so that you know the number of the cards from the back, so that when you're setting everything up, it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of the cards' orientation as you're laying them face down upon the table.